Yeah.
Oh,
We call her the mascot. Same.
It,
oh, cute.
Mm.
yeah, it really is. It's a good time. Okay, I'm just gonna start pulling everything up real quick. And we are live right now, so
Wow.
yeah, hello everyone. We're on with Leslie Hellerman.
Is it Wilkins-Hillerman?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
okay. And we're gonna be chatting about some yeah, you know,
Otherworldly experiences.
yes.
How would you describe it, Leslie? How do you describe it when people say, "So, what
I just say it's weird.
happened?"
You know, it's been the story of my life, nothing but weird.
Hey, that makes for a pretty good life though.
I would rather have weird than boring.
Yes. Oh, in a
Oh, I don't
heartbeat.
know. Sometimes I would love to take boring.
Yeah.
Uh,
But hey, yeah, I mean, I guess let's go ahead and just
Let's let you introduce yourself.
yeah.
Tell us about yourself, Leslie. For those who
okay.
don't know you.
Well, I'm 63 years old. Uh, I've I've just been a housewife. I always think Diary of a Mad Housewife every time I say house. I'm a housewife.
I've played that role. I would agree. We're all a little mad, okay?
But no, I'm just really an average Joe or an average Jane anyway. There's nothing real special about me except that I ended up being a what I would call a psychopath magnet, and
Mm,
and I started being a magnet from about 1991 onwards. So that was when things got really weird, and my combat instructor at the time, Charles Casamano, told me, he said, your life will never be the same. You will never ever have a normal life from here on out. And I thought, well, gee whiz, thanks a lot, because I was really hoping to get back to normal. And it's been well over 25 years. It's still, there is nothing normal about my life.
mm.
Absolutely nothing. The
Okay, so
instructor at the time,
go ahead.
no, I'm fine.
Oh,
So at when
What else
you
to
when you
say?
say psychopath magnet,
yeah.
I'm going to need you to elaborate. Because sometimes I feel like I am. Like I find myself in the company of strange people, but what does that mean for you?
Well, in 1991, 1992, I had the shock of my life. I was living in a small community, and I knew practically everybody in the community, and especially the professionals, the medical doctors, and other people, teachers. I was, I guess I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce and just very, somewhat active in the community. And the next thing I know, somebody signed me up for a mind control experiment. And I think that was the weirdest shock of my life, because I had had some experience in the past with psychic phenomena, but nothing to this extent. It broke my heart. It took me a good 10 years to just psychologically even begin to process it. And, a lot of talking to a lot of different people, about what happened, and possibly trying to understand why. And that's one thing that you always ask is why me, why now, why this, so that was 1991.
Okay, so when
uh
you say you were signed up, this wasn't voluntary?
no, it wasn't. It was not voluntary at all. I was a target along with about 6 other individuals. And the reason I know that there were other people involved, one of the guys, or one of the men that was, well, one of the men that was my point of contact. He was he was my marriage counselor, believe it or not. And he said to me, uh, there are, he said, 3 of you have died and 2 of you aren't doing too well.
Okay, hang on.
And
3 of you.
yeah, 3 of you have died, meaning 3 of us test subjects had died and the other 2 weren't doing too well. And I wasn't sure whether I was one of the ones that weren't doing too well or if I was maybe number 6.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but there were several targets in that experiment. And what was really sickening was that that area was CIA. The area was what is called a CIA test site. And it had all the right ingredients. It was outside of a top secret, military base. There was isolation to the area at that time. Basically, one freeway in and out, and or roadway, if you want to call it that. But it had all the qualifications to be a CIA test site. And I don't know, it was the medical doctors. The medical doctors were part of this team. And boy, I tell you, I never in my life have had, you want to talk about somebody kicking you in the stomach. That's exactly how it felt when it finally hit me, what dangerous a situation I was in. It was heart-wrenching. For me, it was more the emotional pain of it all, not so much of what I went through. What I went through was tolerable, it was handleable, but it was emotionally knowing that the people that you
trusted,
admired and either worked with or admired or whatever had just decided to kill you, on a whim.
So that's like next level betrayal, because you don't even know that you're involved. When you say the things that they did to you, what were they doing?
Well, I had no idea that I had been, set up for this until one of the doctors, he said, we're going to try a new therapy for you. And that was the marriage counselor.
So
He said, we're going to try a new therapy for you. And it relates back to World War II in Korea. And I'm going, really? And about prisoner of war.
So
and I thought, okay, whatever. I think he's off his rocker. And sure enough, I started picking up electromagnetic fields immediately. I'm that sensitive. And it was dealing with electromagnetic fields. It was dealing with psychotronics, if you've ever heard of psychotronics.
Mm-hmm.
These guys were at a CIA research level.
Where,
and how I found that out was one of the doctors actually told me.
Where was you at? Where in the country were you? Was it because you said they selected
California? It was Nevada City in Grass Valley, California.
Okay, and they selected you and then steered you towards marriage counseling to get the in with you?
Well, actually, I had gone to marriage counseling, had been in marriage counseling, but the marriage counselor was part of the research team.
Oh my gosh.
So when they decided to do this, I was just selected, randomly, I guess, because the guy told me, he said, don't take it personally. And I said, what? Okay, all right.
So
don't take it personally.
Do you have a knowledge of what they did, or is it kind of like looking back, hindsight is 2020, where it all became clear? At the time that it was happening, did you have a knowledge that there was something happening?
Yeah, I definitely did. I was being followed everywhere. And I mean, in a small town, that's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can tell. And at that time, there were no, cell phones were not used. But these people have mobile phones. And then also too, they had the night vision goggles. If I went out at night, there were night vision goggles everywhere I went. So it was really bizarre. But I had also some of those people I had seen before at UC Davis, and they were part of Charles Tartt's upper graduate students in the field of parapsychology. And he's not just an electrical engineer; he's a parapsychologist as well.
So
And
what
he
was
has
the
his lab up
point
there.
of this grand scheme, this experiment? Were they testing to see if mind control was a capability, or were they testing different types of mind control?
They were trying different types of mind control, but also what was interesting too is that with me, they lost it. I don't understand how the 3 that died unless they just couldn't handle it
And they ended
and
their
they committed
lives?
suicide or did something. The other 2 that weren't doing too well, I would probably guess that the electromagnetic frequencies were, affecting them physically. And I know that it did me, well, especially afterwards. I had to deal with the aftermath. And it wasn't until I got to NASA where I actually got to heal.
Okay, so
And
they were following you.
oh, yeah,
They
they
had
were following me.
they had infiltrated
Yeah.
trusted officials and people around you. And where were these electromagnetic fields set up? Were they set up around your home?
It was set up over the entire town. The entire town was one great big. You could see the actual making of the fields. This was before all of this happened. You could see this one missile. It looked like a white red finned missile going across in a pattern across the sky. And then there was another vehicle with some kind of a beam emanating out from the center of it that was going the opposite way, doing a crisscross. They were actually crisscrossing in the sky. And I think what they were doing is they were building a field. They were ionizing a field. And I think that's what was happening, because I could see right into the laboratory immediately. I don't know what was different with me. I could be in 3 different places at one time with my mind. And it was just the way that it did. I bilocated and trilocated very easily. I think that I scared them because I started doing some weird things that kind of woke them up, got their attention, and then they tried to kill me.
Well,
And that was when they got Beale Air Force Base involved, because at first I think it was mostly UC Davis and the area, just the area. And then when things started going sideways for them, I'm going to move to another room. I'm running away from my babies. Just there we go. Lock myself in a closet, I guess.
so
But anyway, what happened then, I think the Air Force started getting involved. And that was when I met a U-2 pilot. He had come over to the house just to kind of go through what I had. I had turned my back. He had asked for something to drink. I went and I got him some iced tea, and I was watching him through the pass through from the kitchen to the living area, and he was busy, taking up the sofa cushions and everything else.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And
How
I
do
knew
you
he
even
was gonna do
respond to that? You just
Well,
watch in horror?
I know. Well, it was so funny to me. I ended up with a twisted sense of humor after this. I
How
tell
old?
you,
How old was you when this
Yeah.
first initiated? Like,
I was
what was your?
33.
You was 33, and what was your life prior to that? You were married, and
Oh, normal. I was taking a few college courses at night. I was taking care of my mom who had rheumatoid arthritis and bone marrow cancer. I was also taking care of my premature infant. And so that's what really had me shocked was when I was selected to be a mind control experiment. And here I had all this responsibility to take care of my mom and my child and as well be a wife. And it was like, I don't believe these people. They had to be psychopaths in order to do something like this to another human being. And especially somebody that had known them for years and also had, you know, this kind of situation that I had. You just don't do that to people. You just don't. I don't care who you are or who you think you are, but you just don't.
Okay,
So
so
I guess I'm.
you're
Oh,
you're
pardon me.
you're clipping along in a normal life, and
Yep.
is the first thing you notice is that people are following you?
Oh well, he told me. At first, like I told you about the. He said he had a new therapy to
Right.
try out, and by that time I thought, okay, this man's crazy. I don't even want to bother with this man. And then I started noticing, I could feel like the air in the area was different. It was almost like, if you walked out, it felt like the air was just kind of different. It was like, the hair on the back of your neck could just stand straight up on end.
Like
It
intuition. Like something's off.
Something was not right. Something definitely wasn't right. It was in the atmosphere. And then when I was taking care of my mom, this was interesting. There was a helicopter that came over our house, and hanging down was this black box, and I still have no idea what that thing was, but it was just a black box, and it was huge. And they had it hanging, dangling by a cable, and they just kept going around my house. It's just circling around.
Mm.
What?
I know. It was weird.
And was this prior to the therapy, or was this post the?
Well, the therapy had been ongoing. The therapy had been for, I don't know, several months, because we were having a rough spot. And
Well, yeah,
it
you're
just been,
you're dealing with a mom with medical problems, a premature baby. I mean,
yeah.
Oh.
that's
Well,
those are obvious reasons to want to seek out to strengthen a marriage. But like, so you go to a therapist, and that
my
therapist
first
starts.
time with a therapist.
What's that?
Pardon me? This was my first time with a therapist.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
can see why I don't want to be around therapists anymore.
I
Well,
know.
yeah.
Shocking. But this therapist steers you into uh, 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 a program.
No, she was already in the program. He was a part of it.
Well, no. Did the therapist drive you into the program, or was you already in the program?
No, I wasn't in the program. He went ahead and just signed me up for the program.
Oh my gosh.
That's
You
like
know-
that Canadian mother with postpartum depression during MK Ultra or Artichoke, when they did all that electroshock
Yeah,
therapy and vegetabilized. She went in there for postpartum, and they
Yeah.
they
Shocked her
vegetabilized her.
20, 30 times a day.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Okay.
that's horrible.
Okay, so all right. I would freak out. Were you freaking out? Like I would
was.
be unhinged.
I was, but again, like I said, I had enough. I don't know. I had enough background in psychic stuff to just kind of be able to try to think it through. But also at the same time, I was freaking out because these were people I knew. You know,
You're like, how
it's
do you consolidate that in your brain? Like they
It's not
signed me
easy.
up involuntarily for this
Right.
horrible program, and these are trusted individuals in my community.
Right.
And your therapist, hello, next level, like you've told him like the innermost parts of your thinking. What in the heck?
Yeah. Tell us about your psychic experience prior to that.
Yeah.
Build a
Did you
story
tell
on
your
that.
therapist about your psychic experience prior?
Oh no. Oh, probably if I had, I probably would have ended up dead. I'm pretty sure of it. When I was 17 years old, well, let me go back a little bit. My dad was with the United States Navy. He became a commander when he was in the reserves after retiring. But he was also something else. James Forrestal had said, "Thank you for your service, but thank you for all services." So I'm not sure. I think my dad was a spy because he also went to school after retirement with all these different courses that sounded like spy courses,
Mm-hmm.
spy type courses. And I think that my dad was a spy. Um, I know that my dad had done the, oh heavens, oh, my brain just ended. But my dad had been involved with Roswell in 1945, was it? Or 1947? He was involved with Roswell. He had gone out there at James Forrestal's request.
Mm-hmm.
So enter my brother. My brother ends up with a UFO abduction experience that I really didn't know anything about until after my mind control experience. So I didn't know my brother had this. Both of my parents did, but I certainly had no clue that my brother had been through this. So enter me. I'm 17 years old. I go to San Diego State University, first time away from home. And I'm doing my normal college student thing. And one day I walk into a sandwich shop, and it's herbs and sandwiches and all this natural stuff available. And I'm into that. So I thought, okay, this is great. And there's a man sitting at a table, and he said, "I've been waiting for you."
Nope.
And I thought,
Nope.
really?
No, you haven't, sir. Asta.
Yeah.
No. No.
No. And I ended up, you're going to love this. I ended up in a program, and I was learning how to move chi and learning how, how to use
How to move
chi.
what?
Chi, your internal energy.
Okay.
We all
Right.
have our own chi, yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I
sure
had
you
an
do.
experience with that.
I don't.
You do.
I-
You just don't
Well,
know
I
it.
had an experience with that. My instructor had been in Vietnam. He was a major in the Army Air Force when it was once combined. I think he was also something else besides being a pilot, but he anyway, he was my instructor at this point. And I just randomly, spontaneously just went into his body, just psychically went into his body. And I could actually, I was stunned because all I could see were blood vessels, blood shooting through his veins. I could feel his heart beating, everything, breathing, everything. I could feel absolutely everything. And he said, "Leslie, that's very good. I want you to try now to stop my heart." And that was when I panicked. I just absolutely panicked. I never in my life would ever dream of anybody asking me to stop their heart. And I wasn't gonna try.
Well, do
And
you
I just,
quantify him as the first psychopath? Just a question.
Well, and
Like he's like patient zero for the psychopaths.
Well, let me tell you about this sandwich shop too. It's just outside of Camp Pendleton in San Diego,
Mhm.
Oh
right
my
outside
gosh.
Camp Pendleton. So,
And he
yeah.
wants you to stop his heart. What if you'd have been successful? I mean,
Yeah, because at that
Um,
point, I mean, if it goes on long enough, he's not even able to tell you to restart it.
mhm.
And then what if
well,
you can't?
well, he probably very well could have stopped my ability to do that, but I think that he just wanted to see if I could even try.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
wasn't about to try. I was so scared of feeling like I was always going to be stuck in his body
Yeah, yeah.
whole out that I just started screaming, but I couldn't hear myself scream, but I knew I was screaming. And then finally I could hear myself audibly scream and I was out of sight of his body. That was when I took everything I had and ran out of there. Ran
Mm.
out of there and went back home.
Oh.
You know, that was the end of my college degree or college degree. Yeah, what degree? That was the end of my college career.
Now, how
And it
old
was like
was you when
it.
that happened?
17?
17.
You were
Uh-huh.
17. You were going to college. What
Right.
was the course called where that was a part of the course?
This was extracurricular. This was the sandwich shop. This was the sandwich shop down there by
Oh,
Camp
so
Pendleton.
it wasn't a part of college. It was.
It was just a course that was offered by this master of chi.
Right.
Mm.
What?
So you
the
sign
heck?
up for, like a Reiki class, and next thing you know, oh, yeah, that'd be freaky.
Let's get to some comments. Shawnette, hello
So
from
that was-
Texas. And then we've
Pardon?
got a couple of people who are on. Shawnette says hello from Texas. Hi, Shawnette. Welcome to the show. Leslie says hi. And then she says she's had some wild experiences as well. The more we do this podcast, the more we recognize
Mhm.
that there are so many people who just don't talk about it.
I'm wondering if there's people who haven't had wild experiences.
Well,
Well,
you're one.
yeah. I probably haven't didn't notice.
And then she goes on to say, once you know certain things, you can't unknow them. So yeah, it affects your life in weird ways.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that? Like once you
Oh.
knew, like you can't just unknow.
No.
So
You
then
can't-
everything changes.
Right. Everything does change. You can't undo it. I remember when I had asked a friend that was a sailor from Miramar. He was a helicopter pilot, or not a helicopter pilot, but helicopter repairman. Anyway, I asked him if he could help me, move from San Diego back up to Grass Valley, Nevada City. And he did. He helped me get home. And he stayed the night at my parents' house. And we both woke up, telling each other the same dream that we had had about my psychic instructor down there in San Diego. So we both had the same exact dream. But anyway, he went back down to San Diego, back to Miramar, and I was there with my parents. And this was weird. Is I was so frightened that it took me. I slept in their bedroom at night on the floor.
Mm.
That's how sad that was. I was really shaken up by that. And it took me a long time to get over it. And I just buried everything psychic. I didn't want anything to do with psychic anything. I didn't want
Yeah,
to.
it's like if we don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist.
Mm.
Right. Yeah. Well, I buried it. I was, at that time, I probably, had gone from 17 to 18 years of age. And it was just too much for me. And I was ready to bury it, never to speak of it again,
Mm.
And here I am speaking of it again because I feel like I need to help other people. I feel like my experiences, at least, I have put myself out there to the point where it's caused me a great deal of damage, but I don't care because I feel that, my ability to be able to touch other people's lives in a positive way is something that means more to me.
Mm.
So Yeah.
Okay, so you go from sandwich shop heart stopping to like, I
Yep.
just want to ignore that this exists.
Right.
Then you're married
Right.
and you're in counseling when you're enrolled in this mind control program.
Ooh.
How do you, I mean, first of all, they tried to kill you. How? What did they do?
Well, that was interesting. The just the electromagnetic field energy was really hard to deal with at one point. It felt like my brain was just being polarized, like it was just being just torn to pieces. And I think that that was I think that that was some kind of polarization of the field that, you know, they encapsulate you in an electromagnetic field. And I think that it somehow, some way, it wasn't jiving too well with me. At one point, I got really angry, and Charles Casamano will back me up on this. I ended up with a combat instructor. I actually had to enter into bioelectromagnetic combat with these individuals. And I was just armed. You're going to love this. I was just armed with basically a cardboard box, a lawn chair, some alligator clips, some energy patterns, and I started a fire in their lab.
Mm.
Oh my
Charles
God. Like
Hart-
MacGyver. Like
Well,
literal MacGyver. You remember MacGyver?
Well, of course.
Like
I
he'd show up with whatever was in his wallet. He'd mess stuff
no,
up.
he had a Swiss Army knife
Okay, he had a Swiss Army knife in his wallet or in his pocket.
and paper clips.
So is that how you got out? First of all, how long did this go on?
Yeah.
What are we talking?
it was from March of 1991 to March of 1992.
A whole
But
year.
I'll tell you how we got out of it eventually. But Charles Casamano was there the whole time. But anyway, he was busy telling me not to do it, and I did it. Is when I set the lab on fire. What had happened is they had sent so much energy out, and this is where the chi comes in. You push back, and that's what I was doing. It's just pushing that energy right back onto the laboratory.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, it started out as smoke. I could start seeing some, something was smoking over the, on the panels, and then it burst into flame. And they were so shocked. The grad students were so shocked they couldn't move. Nobody got out a fire extinguisher, nothing. They were shocked. They didn't know what to do. And the fire just, continued. And Dr. Tart even said to me, he said, Leslie, he said, you cost me billions of dollars. And you'll never know, you'll never know, how much money that is. And I'm thinking, yeah, I guess I'll never know. But boy, I'm glad that I put your laboratory out of whack for a little while.
So that
So you
ended
can't
it
go
for
do
you.
Other people, huh?
That ended it for you?
Yeah, did they leave you alone after that?
Oh no, Beale Air Force Base got involved. 9th Recon Wing, Beale Air Force Base. It's part of like CIA and Air Force. That's where you have your U-2 and your the stealth. Help me out. It was the Blackbird
Mhm.
SR-71. It's those pilots. I ended up with them. And yeah, we had a big row going. My computers got fried. There was a big burst of energy that ran through our house, rattled our windows, the whole 9 yards, and fried everything electronic that we had in there. And the repairman that took a look at our computers, he said, "Do you live in between two electromagnets?" Yeah, it was that bad. He said, "I've never seen hardware cannibalize itself before."
Well, how did you escape from that situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
How does this end?
This,
Does it?
this was where Cosmano and I kind of look at each other and say, "Do we even mention what we did?"
If I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
Well, no, it wasn't very nice. But in combat, sometimes things happen that aren't very nice. And, well, I started heating up the core of a nuclear reactor. I knew that Rancho Seco was highly unstable. It was a highly unstable reactor back in 1991. And so I started pushing the energy from all the field experiment, everything, all the energy that they had directed at me and had in Grass Valley, Nevada City, in that dome of electromagnetic whatever. I just shoved it right back at Rancho Seco. And I told them, I said, if I die, we all die.
Mm.
And I said, I don't care. I said, we're going to have a Chernobyl here. And they actually took readings of the core of the nuclear reactor several times. And they had to shut down Rancho Seco at one point. But at that time, over at McClellan Air Force Base, there was a man who had hidden underneath his desk. It was a gray metal desk, and he took off his t-shirt, took off his clothes, took his t-shirt and started waving it on a broom handle back and forth. And I said, well, Charles Casamano, I think we just got the flag of surrender. I'm not too sure if that's what it is. Do we stop firing? And he said, yes, we do. We honor that flag. And I said, okay, it's done. And that was it.
Do
But,
they?
No contact after that.
Huh?
No contact after that?
Like, do they?
No contact after that. In fact, everybody kind of stayed away from me. They had stayed away from me, and it was like, okay, that's fine. I can live with it. And Air Force stayed away. They kept tabs on me. They kept watching us. Our phones were tapped in San Jose. When we moved to San Jose, our phones were still tapped, but it was just light surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
NASA, I can't say anything, but nice, wonderful things about NASA for me, because when I went there, I was recruited as a test subject, believe it or not,
No.
for pilot safety. And I said, well, wait a minute. Before you recruit me, I have to tell you this. I was in an experiment in 1991, 1992, up in Grass Valley, Nevada City, California. And all this terrible stuff happened. And I said, will that affect my employment here? And the recruiter told me, she said, no, it will not affect your employment. In fact, that experiment was illegal. And I thought, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
It better have been illegal. But anyway, when I was there at NASA, one of the engineers had an experiment with a cooling vest, and they cooled my body way down, and I had electrodes and probes, and to keep track of my core temperature. And when they did that, it allowed the neurotransmitters in my brain to help heal, help my body heal.
Yeah,
helped me
because
heal.
energy like that actually produces heat.
Oh, yeah. Well, the microwave energy was enough to cause me to, my spine was in horrible, wretched pain. At one point, I was crawling to the kitchen for Cheerios, because that's all I could get down were Cheerios. And but I had to just crawl around, and I had to have family take care of my daughter, because there was no way I could. And so that was horrible. And other people were taking care of my mom during that time too. It was very heartbreaking for me, absolutely heart-wrenching. More so, the psychology of it probably would have been enough to kill me.
It's mental torture.
Yeah, but the physical part was, like I said, it was handleable. It was painful. No doubt it was painful, but nothing like the psychological damage or psychological pain.
Okay, so this all ends. You go to NASA. NASA helps to heal you.
Right.
What happens after that? Because this feels like the climax of your story. Do things settle down for you?
Well, I thought they did. I thought they would. And it wasn't until I moved to Nevada that things started to come unglued. Nevada was a totally different experience than California in a lot of different ways. But I soon realized when I got here that this area reminded me of Nevada City in that I had a sneaking suspicion that it was a CIA test site.
Mm.
And
Oh.
it's outside of Fallon Naval Air Station, just 36 miles to our east. And we're smack dab in the middle between Reno and Fallon. And so I just thought, well, leave it alone. Just let them handle it. You stay out of it. And because I even talked to people at the bank that were from the Indian reservation, and I said, does it feel funny around here to you? Does it feel like there's a black cloud? And she said, all the time. It's over at the res all the time. And I sat there and I said, okay, well, that verified something for me. And so I just basically stayed out of everybody's way until about 2003. 2003, I became a remote viewer. And I took remote viewing from Dr. Angela Thompson Smith and did very well. And went to work for her for the Nevada Remote Viewing Group. Everything was fine except for who comes into my life, and I didn't even know who he was the former advisor to Libya back when I guess terrorism was big for Libya. And he was introduced to me by a cousin from the NSA. And he said, oh, this man, you should get to know him better. Well, I didn't know that my cousin was setting me up for something horrible. But
Did your cousin
anyway,
know she was? Did your cousin know that they were setting you up for something horrible?
he was. He was the one. He said, well, you should get to know this man. Well, I didn't even know he was a former advisor to Libya, and I didn't know he was a terrorist. He's considered a terrorist.
So
By
why
the
was your cousin setting you
Yeah, are
up?
we talking psychopath number 12 or
Or
whatever?
did you?
Yeah,
Was you like the favorite grandchild? What's the story?
yeah. This is I really am wondering if I was, the redheaded stepchild. It it really was bad. I sat there and I thought, what on earth did I ever do to you? He was
Mhm.
on my dad's side of the family, and I just thought, boy, what a nice cousin I have.
Mm.
But this guy started to, experiment. That was about the time that Obama had okayed billions of dollars over to Pakistan. And I think part of that $1 billion package was a psychotronics laboratory. And it was fueled by Abbottabad, by the military base out there at Abbottabad. And I believe that part of the laboratory was also in Islamabad. But anyway, I ended up, being used a little bit by the former advisor to Libya. And I saw some things that I probably shouldn't have seen,
Mm.
but I saw some things. He knew I'd seen them. And he also, at that time, I also got angry with him. And I sent back his energy and blew out one of the transformers at Abbottabad. So that was verified by the former advisor to Libya, who basically wrote me that we none know from 1 minute to the next how long we're going to live. I think it was a veiled threat. So anyway, that was another part of my life. That was when I had to put my remote viewing career on hold because I was dealing with the Middle East and I was dealing with a terrorist. It was basically the death row, you know, to my remote viewing. But I could still, I think still did do some rescues.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very important to me, was to do rescue work or to help other people. But as far as being paid for, maybe higher level things, it wasn't going to happen.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Well,
but
yeah,
I did
because
that
now
to my,
you're a threat
exactly,
because
exactly.
of your connections,
S-
because of your
Right.
psychopath cousin.
Well, I'm
Right.
wondering what your cousin set you up with him for. Like, what were they trying to achieve?
I'm not sure. This is another thing, is that I still have no idea why. It was like, gosh, did I have, kick me? I used to say I have kick me, engraved on my butt and engraved on my forehead, because it seemed like I was getting kicked no matter what. I mean, if anybody, I should say, here's the victim. Let's go for it.
Well, what year was this?
This was 2006.
2006.
2006. This was,
How
So
did that
this,
end?
that would have been during Bush, W. Bush, and Libya wasn't our enemy at the time. So,
Yeah, how does this end with this Libyan guy, terrorist? Because I can't imagine
uh,
you can just say goodbye.
you can't.
No.
They put you under surveillance. The worst part of that was that he just had me under surveillance. In fact, I have something that he wrote just I guess a few months ago. Um he wrote something, and I went ahead and posted it on Facebook, because I felt it was important for people to see that I've been under surveillance all this time.
mm,
And he always kept me under surveillance, but again, nothing happened, except for the last 10 to 12 years. I've had to deal with a great onslaught. People were attacking me, saying, you never went through any of these experiences, you hallucinated the whole thing, we have proof that you hallucinated the whole thing, you know all this stuff. And I thought, oh Lord, I thought, God, I wish I did. I wish I was on drugs. Anything's better than, having to live with these idiots.
oh yeah.
So tell me
But it
about the
was,
book. What doesn't
uh,
kill her? Because I read the author's biography about it, and it's literally based on one or more of your experiences. How did that come about?
it came about from his first book. His first book, The Disclosure Paradox. I show up as a character named Katrina. I think about chapter 10. I'm not sure, but I think it's chapter 10. But it had to deal with psychokinesis.
Okay.
And I think it was a psychokinetic involvement at Dulce. But anyway, he had taken some of my experience for his character.
Mm-hmm.
And then Katrina got a whole bunch of I don't know, I guess attention from the first book, and so he went off and did all Katrina on this second book. And it deals with a lot of my experiences. I see a lot of things in there, and I'm thinking, oh no, because some of them, it was almost verbatim. What I had said, it was like, oh no, because the people involved
It's
are
out
going to see
there.
that and know exactly who they are.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh. So you kind of led into what your life has been like since you've been public with this.
Oh yeah.
Um do you regret telling your story?
No, not at all. I don't regret it at all, because there were people that came to me for help.
Yeah.
Um, I ended up with correspondence from India. I ended up with a young man, and this was really sad. He was a physicist. He was a young man who was a targeted individual. He came out from Georgia to see me in Fernley, and it just took him 3 days to get here. And he drove the whole time. and I I had to put him up in a motel that night, real quick, and get him situated. But he stayed the following day, and we talked about his entire experience. And I tried to give him some exercises in which to help himself feel more empowered and to, possibly get rid of these people that were irritating him. But he refused. He absolutely refused to do any of the exercises. He wanted me to do it for him. And there's no way I can do it for him because I'm not in his brain. He's the one that has to deal with his own brain. I can do so much from the outside, and that's the way Charles Casamano was. He couldn't do things for me. I had to do it for myself. But he was there backing me up too, because he realized that there was an entire research team working on me 24/7, and all I had was myself. And I don't think Charles Tart was too happy about his laboratory. That was his personal laboratory. That wasn't a government laboratory. That was his personal laboratory that got torched. And so he wasn't too happy. And then there were other laboratories that were coming to his rescue, so to speak. And one of them was out here in Nevada at a mining operation down under the ground for miles and miles. And they they had that laboratory. There was a whole bunch of other laboratories that just chimed in. But no, I feel that it's important for people to know that they can do this. There are some people that honestly need medication, that are truly, they've, I don't know, it's gone on for so long that it has affected their minds.
Absolutely.
So they
Because the
need
entire
psychiatric.
world is telling you you're not experiencing these things, but you're
Right,
experiencing something. So your brain tries to figure out where to put it. It becomes
right,
psychosis.
right,
Mm.
exactly. And that happened to the physicist. And I felt terrible because he had gone to Bethesda, Maryland, and he actually tried to break in to the laboratory there. And the next thing I knew, I was getting a phone call from NCIS saying, "How do you know this young man?" And I told him. And I also told him that I had told the young man about a story about Charles Whitehouse, who had run an experiment with psychotronics and was able to bend a beam psychotronically, inside the laboratory there at Bethesda, Maryland. And I told him that story. And I guess, I don't know, something went off in his brain. And he was out there with bolt cutters breaking into the laboratory there. And I
Mm.
felt terrible. But that was the naval, what was it? It's the Naval Radiological Lab
Mm.
out there at Bethesda. So yeah, it was that was sad. Um, and he did end up in psychiatric care.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that oftentimes what we find when we hear about CIA secret operations is that there is a lack of empathy for the victims, the actual victims. Like, what does this
right,
look like when we're done? They don't even consider that. And that's with all of them that have come to light, is that there was no forethought to what happens to these actual people. How did they live from here out? So as we close this, uh, I would like to ask you, what's next for Leslie? What what what
well,
what does this look
what
like?
Leslie, what Leslie wants to do is to write a book about my life, to present it to people. What I really liked was the publisher of the second book. When it first came out on Kindle, it was free, and since then it's gone up to $8 and something. But I really loved the idea that they had made it free, because usually targeted individuals are so poor. They end up getting just absolutely broken by the world. And so, I was happy for that. But I wouldn't mind going into Kindle for free
Yeah.
when I write my story for the targeted individuals, because it's important for them to know that they are not alone, that it is beatable, that it is doable. You don't have to break into the U.S. Radiological Laboratory at Bethesda, Maryland, but you know you you
But
know
is
you
it
can,
suggested?
right. but but yeah, but there are positive ways. uh Somebody, a remote viewer, once told me, he said, the best revenge is to do well in life.
Yeah.
The
Mm.
best revenge that you can have is to do well with your life. Well, I've been devastated. The last 10 years or 12 years, I had all my identity stolen, of course, from birth certificates and family photos and bank records and work records and medical records and social security records. Everything walked out my door.
Mm.
And so everything had been pretty much stolen. And what I was really heartsick over was the genealogy and also the family photos. That was very heartbreaking because some of those
Mhm.
were one of a kind, can't be replaced. Um, that was heartbreaking. That was very heart wrenching for me. But you know, I I just see it as I've been through a fire. I
Yeah.
have been through the fire of life. And okay, so everything that I loved was, turned to cinders. And it's like, well, okay, you write about your life. You let other people have that opportunity to know that there is a way to deal with it and to move on and to get the best revenge possible is to do well. So that's my big plot,
I
is
love that.
to do well with
Just
my life.
live well.
Yep. Best
Live well.
revenge is to live a good life.
So on the
Yep.
screen we're showing
Yep.
the book What Doesn't Kill Her,
Now,
and we would love to know when you get yours done. I know
yeah.
it's a long project. I mean,
It is.
yeah, I mean some people
It
start
may be another year.
yeah, start and it takes
Yeah.
years and years to finish, but we would love to know when yours is finished. And if anyone wants to go check out the book What Doesn't Kill Her,
We'll put a
um
link in the show notes. They just go there. We'll just put a hyperlink thing. Just go click it and boom, go right here to
Okay.
Amazon. And I don't know if you're not about giving money to evil bald overlord, you can go to Goodreads or wherever
right,
else. But
find it at your local bookstore
the author
or
is
have them order it in for you.
the author is Paul G.
Vichetti.
Vichetti.
Is it Vichette or Vichetti?
Vichette.
I've always said Viquette.
Viquette.
Viquette. It's VECCHIET.
Now
But
let's go to some comments before we cut
yeah,
Leslie loose.
yeah, we'll start reading through the comments. Let me get some adjustment. But just before we go to the comments,
I'm
what is your life like now? I
I'm
mean,
gobsmacked.
is there still a lingering of them on the periphery, or have they decided to kind of give you a little bit of a break?
I think I'm being given a little bit of a break,
Yeah.
but also too, I'm always under surveillance. I'm always under electronic surveillance. When I did my second interview with a woman in Hawaii, there was electronic interference. I could not speak on that radio talk show that first time.
Well,
And
here
then
we've got a possess system. So the NSA is having a hard time interrupt us because
It's
Cardboardo is
yes.
doing the interrupting,
That's right.
and they'll just end up with a nightmare on their side. We
He's the
op-
laziest. He's the laziest demon ever.
On the show we opened a Ouija board and we forgot to shut it down, and we recorded it, and that whole video got lost and corrupted. It was really weird, and so we think there's now a cardboardo that
It inhabits the podcast room.
yeah, he
Whoa.
hangs out with us, but he hasn't done anything bad or terrible. I mean, but anyway, so we're gonna run through some comments here.
Shawnette says
Wait a minute.
We
she
got
just watched a video today
I
on.
lost you guys.
yeah.
Can you hear us?
Uh-oh. Let's see. Can you hear us?
You.
We might have froze a little bit on here.
Well, we'll just keep going through the comments to see if it unfreezes. Shawnette says, I just watched a video today on mind control. That's interesting to me because, one, I believe they're listening, and two, I believe that everything happens like the way it's supposed to in the order it's supposed to, weirdly enough.
Just that we mentioned that that Cardboardo doesn't play around.
Then Cardboardo jumps in.
Card-
Cardboardo,
He shows up.
we love you.
Yeah.
We didn't say goodbye to you for a reason because we want you around. Then
Yeah,
we've got King of Hueco Mundo.
He's
Hi.
back. What's up, King?
What's up? And the CIA did and is still doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Agreed. 100%. And it doesn't matter
Well,
on what spectrum you fall with this story or any other story, you have to know that they're doing stuff.
was it Wyden, Senator Wyden, that just showed he had to go through the steps to get some paperwork from the CIA as far as surveillance on the United States people?
So stupid.
And he holds up the paper they gave him, and it looks like someone drew a black square. There is... It is redacted.
They redacted every line.
Everything. The whole thing is redacted. It looks like he's holding up a black rectangle. I'll bet it burned up like 5 cartridges of ink to print it out.
It took 10 minutes to dry.
Just that one. Oh, yeah. The paper's got that wobbly warp because of all the printer ink on it.
Seriously.
Was it Wyden that held it up?
I think so.
But yeah, that's insane. You know, all of that.
Yeah. Shawnette
Yeah.
responds in ways most people can't even fathom. Exactly. See, the thing with the CIA and the FBI and all of those, 3-letter, 4-letter organizations is if what they were doing was copacetic, they would tell us about it.
Well, it's almost like they're
But
like,
it's hidden.
we're going to protect you at any cost.
Yeah, like peace
We will.
at any cost is not in fact
well,
peace.
it's not peace.
Yeah, but I
'Cause
mean, same
they
thing.
never seek, but it's we will protect you. We will kill you to protect you.
Thank you.
You know, it's like an abusive husband. You know, smacking his wife around. Why
I'm
do you?
doing this for you.
Why do you make me do this for you? I'm doing this for us.
It does feel like we're in a domestic violence
It is-
situation
it
with
is
the
an abusive-
government.
An abusive relation, almost as abusive as Canada's is right now.
Oh, Canada. My heart's with you.
Oh, Canada. Yeah.
You're making big stands up there.
I'm telling you,
I'm with ya.
Justin Castro is. I mean, Fidel Trudeau is. He is a monster.
Yeah.
All right.
So Shawnette says, can we post links or can I just post it on comments later?
You can post links, comments, everything else, and you've
We
had
love
many
it.
experiences. I want to tell you. Send me an email at jared@thewildpod.com.
We'd
and,
love to hear them.
Yeah, we liked it. We want to hear your stories. Maybe if you're up to it, we'll bring you on and have you tell your story. You know, we'll fit it together. That would be a fun show. Gathering all these stories from everywhere would
And
be
you can do
super
it
fun.
anonymously if you'd like as well.
Yeah, you can do it anonymously. You can
Because as you can see, when you start talking, your whole world changes.
Yeah. Well, you can also do the robo call, you know, do the deep throat call. There's people in the hotel. Whatever you want. But yeah, please reach out. Tell us your stories. We want to hear them.
King of Hueco Mundo, many experiments were done. Yes, it's sick.
Man, a year and a half ago we did a show on MK Ultra, and well, and Midnight Climax and Artichoke.
We still
And-
haven't done Sonic Kitty.
And you just scratch that surface, and it's like, oh, it's like a 1,000-year-old house, and you can't get through all the layers of paint.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell by the color when it was painted. You know, Victoria, it's an off-white. The 70s, it was lime green, and it's just awful.
Awful stuff. Goosebumps get goosebumps.
Yes,
Yeah.
your goosebumps get goosebumps. Yes, they do. Yeah, it's pretty wild. In Egypt, a black box was used for technological purposes, like ancient Egypt, or King. You've got to
Gonna need to expand.
tell me more on that because I want to dig it up. Yeah.
Roswell was the start of it all. I would say if it wasn't,
You could argue that, but
if it wasn't, it definitely was like a crescendo.
even prior to Roswell, you had the I forget the name of the project, but the Nazis with the bell,
Yep.
which
Yep.
was wild times. And we did a story on high jump, which high jump has a whole lot of influence all over the place. On Sci-Fi, there's a show called Resident Alien that talks a lot about the CIA. Yeah,
Oh. I haven't seen that.
it's got to be made by. I'm telling you, the CIA are probably on every set, advising how to do this and how to do that.
Give them this much so that we can desensitize them to this much in the
I'm
next iteration.
I'm sure they are on every one of them. It is insane, and I've heard they are on a lot of shows.
Well,
like,
they were pivotal in Mockingbird.
well, what's that show on Amazon? Tom Clancy show, the spy guy, whatever, the handsome guy off of The Office.
Okay.
But anyways, that show I guess is like written by the CIA for them.
Stop it. I'm gonna have to watch that one.
So how? I mean, yeah.
But we have to look that propaganda. I mean, what's the best way to get us propaganda? I mean,
Through the TV.
through entertainment.
I mean, look at
Because
our
then
media.
we don't know it's propaganda.
Yeah, look at our media. Our media drives us into war, propagandizes us, makes us their little pets.
We just got to stop believing it, people.
Yeah.
Trust nothing, question everything.
Yeah. Bling, bling, bling. Yes. All right, guys. Shawnette
says
reached
she'll
out to us.
Yeah.
She says she's going to send us some pictures, send us some info, and if she's up to it, we'll bring her on, have her tell the story.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, King, expand on stuff. I'm still digging up. You had that. You sent it to me. I've got it pulled up, like the hidden site in I think it was Brazil that you brought up that I am still digging into, and I have a good friend that's from Brazil, and so
We may send him on a walkabout next time he goes.
Well, it's a her, but what I do
Her husband,
yeah,
because he goes with her.
oh yeah, well,
Be like, Dave.
when I come across like websites I can't read because I don't read Portuguese, she comes over and reads them. Like when we had Thiago on,
Yeah, his whole book's in
he
Portuguese.
sent us that book, and she's been whatever you call it for me. Yeah, I can't speak or think, but she's been translating it. There we go. I found my way there.
Yeah.
She's been doing that for me. Shawnette, don't worry. Blow up the chat anytime you want. We love great stories.
And we'll watch the link for sure.
Yes. And yeah, send it to me. We'll watch it. We'll check it out. Reach out, and yeah, all you guys. And you guys all have the email. It's jared@thewildpod.com or Betsy@thewildpod.com if you prefer to chat with her. But if you got awesome stories, send them our way. We'd love to hear them. We'd love to share them, and dig into stuff. And anytime you can bring me a good, juicy CIA slush
You have to take a
stories.
shower after you talk about that stuff, but we do like it.
It's like
We do like it.
it is my favorite thing to read about because they are so shady.
Yeah, and it's not a conspiracy.
And
It's
if-
pre-news.
And if you're the CIA listening, I really know you're the good guys. I'm just no,
We're just doing this for our
yeah,
listeners.
but seriously, I am for sale. Email one more time, okay? Jared@thewowpod.com or Betsy@thewowpod.com.
Yep.
Send us an email.
JARED@thewowpod1word.com.
Yep, that's it. All right, you guys have a wonderful night.
Have a great night.